Well, with Liverpool losing yesterday 1-0 to Fulham at Anfield, another loss for the Reds, I thought it'd be a good time to talk a little bit more about Liverpool here, to touch on them today on the video blog, and really to talk about, is it time for Liverpool to cash in on Mohamed Salah? An overall poor performance from Salah, as well as the entire Liverpool team. And it was just a game that there was no fire, no intensity in Liverpool once again at Anfield. And now they go into a game against RB Leipzig on Wednesday night in the Champions League last 16 second leg. And it's a game that I actually think that RB Leipzig can win and overturn the tide, because they're playing really well right now and Liverpool playing so poorly. And one of the players who is, in my opinion, underperforming the most is that man right there, Mohamed Salah. And I think Liverpool are going to struggle in that game. But the bigger question is it time for Liverpool to cash in on Mohamed Salah? Now, reports on Monday today is that Liverpool should or get ready to cash in on one of the two forwards, one of these two star forwards, Mane, Salah, or Firmino. For me, if it's me running the team, me working with Michael Edwards and the transfer committee, it's got to be Salah who is cashed in on. He's worth 108 million pounds right now, according to Transfer Market. Teams do wanting the clubs are out there that are ready to spend the money on Salah. Not only is he a talented player, but he's also great for marketing. A Bayern Munich or a Real Madrid, Barcelona even, a player that could really improve those sides. And if you're talking about a team like Barcelona, they're in La Liga. There's a little bit less defensive duties that he might be able to, or might have to make playing for the Blaugrana. But if we look at yesterday's game, and you might say, a lot of people will say, well, a lot of people will say Salah is the heart and soul to Liverpool. But I disagree with that necessarily. Salah, a lot of his goals this season have come from the penalty spots. Yes, he does lead the Premier League with 17 goals this season, just 3 assists this year at the moment. After the game at the weekend, Liverpool now have played 28 times in the Premier League, and sitting in 8th place now, 5 losses out of their last 6. And other than Salah scoring penalties, he's not really doing much from open play. So if you're looking at the number of penalties that Salah has scored this season, he scored 6 penalties, so 6 goals from his 17 in the Premier League have come from the penalty spot. And for me, he's not doing it from open play. And a lot of these goals, those 17 goals, overshadow the lack of play he's had, or the lack of impact he's had in games. He goes missing very, very easily. And again, a lot of people will say, well, Salah, he's done so great since Liverpool signed him from Roma. He scored all of these goals, and obviously he needs to be kept around at Liverpool and continue to be built around. I don't agree with that at all. I think Mane is a far more important attacking player, more well-rounded than Salah. The frustrating thing about Salah is that he loses the ball very easily. 3 times he was dispossessed yesterday against Fulham. His error led to the goal, miscontrolling the ball in the penalty area there as Liverpool were trying to clear. And Mario Lemina was able to score after taking the ball off Salah and score past Alisson Becker. So only having 32 touches during the game while he was on the pitch, and taking 3 shots, 1 on target. So again, like I was saying, the frustrating thing is the dispossessions. It's quite often that we see Salah get the ball in good positions, dribble it down the pitch, and lose the ball, whether it be lost through an errant shot, or we see him dispossessed by a defensive player. And I think it's getting to be a bit of a frustrating time right now for, if you're a Liverpool fan watching that. And again, if you look at Mane and Firmino, I think Mane is a more well-rounded, as I said, player who is a lot more upside to him right now than with Salah. And Firmino, he's the glue that keeps that front three going and attacking. Now, you could say that there's all these other problems with Liverpool this season, and those are contributing factors to the reason why the team are struggling. The defensive issues, obviously Fabinho and Jordan Henderson weren't able to play in midfield. You can even blame or call on the fact that Thiago hasn't necessarily lived up to the hype and slows down the attack. We can make all these arguments, but I think one of the main arguments you can make is that Salah is for so long been a player that was counted on, but also a player that could drift off, stay up the pitch, doesn't have to contribute defensively, and can get that out ball that Liverpool play to him. But that is no longer something that can happen. Liverpool are seeing teams play with 8, 9, 10 players, 11 players behind the ball, packing in the 18-yard box area, and Salah just can't create currently in those areas. And I think that it's time now for Liverpool to consider, very much consider, to highly consider selling Salah this summer. And you keep seeing these reports that Kylian Mbappe wants to join Liverpool, or that Liverpool are going to be going after Kylian Mbappe, and are very serious about that. I think that's a bit ridiculous. All these reports saying that Liverpool were just Premier League champions last year and Champions League winners the season before that. Mbappe is the best young player right now in football, and it's just natural for those links to be made. And I don't think there's any seriousness necessarily that Mbappe would arrive. And reports today claim that Mbappe would demand £600,000 if he joined a Premier League team, £600,000 a week, that is, if he joined a Premier League team. And Liverpool are obviously not going to change their wage structure dramatically to sign Kylian Mbappe. Now, that said, if Liverpool were able to move Salah on, possibly move him to, for example, PSG, not only would he fit in there and be a very good player, but that possibly could be a great marketing PR move for the Qatar-owned PSG, signing an Egyptian player there. That could be a great PR move for the country of Qatar going into the World Cup coming up soon. But Liverpool really need to address things right now, because what they're doing is not working. The tactics aren't working. The long balls, the balls over the top, it worked for the last few years, but it's been figured out now. We saw something similar happen at the end of Klopp's time when he was at Borussia Dortmund. Towards the end of his time there, Borussia Dortmund just had a torrid year in his last campaign, and it almost feels like things are repeating themselves. He got off to that. He built up Borussia Dortmund, and then they were on top for a while, and then they had that horrid last season while he was there, and he walked away. We could be seeing something similar to that at Liverpool right now. Liverpool built up on top for a few seasons, and now just a really poor season. Of course, we've got all these injuries that have happened, but I think it's time that Liverpool do break up that front three and maybe look to some other areas, look to some other players, some other dynamic players that can really get goals for the team. Again, regardless of who's at the back and who's in the middle, of the pitch, Liverpool shouldn't be held scoreless by Fulham, a team fighting relegation at Anfield, with the front three failing to create goals. So I think for me, it's time that Liverpool cash in on and potentially look at building this front three or the attack around Diogo Jota, who I think is an outstanding player. Signing of one of the signings of the season for the Premier League. And it's funny that last season Liverpool were linked to Adama Traore, who's had an awful season this year for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Liverpool pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, expected to go for Traore, but ended up getting Jota, and he's had a great year. And you see some of the body language, you see some of the way that the Liverpool front three are acting when they come off the pitch, or when they, how out of form they are. And you got to think that the time is running out. Maybe these players do want to move on and try their hands somewhere else. But Liverpool should look at cashing in on Salah. £108 million is what his market value is worth. Will they get that in a COVID-19 era transfer market? Potentially, they could get that. But anyway, Liverpool again needing to do something to improve this side. But it's going to possibly get worse before it gets better. RB Leipzig up this weekend, and then back to the Premier League, where Liverpool are just trying to get into the top four to qualify for the Champions League next season. Let me know what you guys think about Liverpool and their problems, as well as the potential sale of Mohamed Salah or any of the other front three. down in the comments below. And of course, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all my thoughts on Liverpool or football in general, and some of the other things I post here on my YouTube channel. Guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon here.